Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel podcast. My name is John Magi, and I will be your host. And in this episode, we're going to be talking to Tracey Heinrich about her recent cruise on the Celebrity Infinity cruise ship. This is actually part two of a two-part series we're doing on this particular sailing that Tracey took with her son, Ben. I'm joined at the table by our panel of experts, agent consultant for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Tracey Heinrich.
Hi, everyone.
Client Services Manager for Dreams Unlimited Travel, Kevin Close.
Hi, everybody.
And back in our production facility, we have our associate producer, Oliver Green.
Hello.
Again, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, part two of a two-part series. Hope you had a chance to check out the first part that we did. Very, very interested in what Tracey's saying about celebrity. Again, Kevin and I have not been on a celebrity cruise, so anything we can learn about a different cruise line and whether or not it would suit our needs is always very exciting. So I think I've already started looking at pricing for going on a celebrity cruise for us, but the problem is time.
Isn't that just it? We were looking. I was actually going to rebook on board. I went into the future. I think the guy working the desk just finally like, look, lady, go back to wherever you came from, figure it out, and then come back.
Really?
Because there were so many unique itineraries, trying to figure out the ships, and it really... Sometimes you get a little blasé about booking travel when you're in this business, but it really kind of ignited a little bit of a spark in me. It was like, oh my God. And I'm texting my husband, we can do this and we can go here. So it really, and then the problem is, of course, okay, when do we have time now? Because our 2017 vacation plans are kind of already set.
Yep.
I would have to sneak it in somewhere, but I'll find a way.
Excellent. Thanks for that story. All right. So
Great story. You should tell that at dinner parties.
Actually, I'm going to tell it again right here.
right here and again. All right, so let's get into it. You have some other stuff, some stuff we didn't cover in the last ones: restaurants, lounges, dining, things like that. Things we didn't get to cover in the first show. So I know you have a video queued up. Should we go right to that?
Yeah, let's go right to the video. This was the dining on this ship. Was really something to be said. The Trellis restaurant, it's their main dining room. So you've got the one level. This is the lower level of the dining room here, I believe. Might be the upper level. And then, so the one level is where they do the traditional early and second seating, and then they do the celebrity select. So yeah, that was the upper level. So as you can see here, you're right at the back of the ship, and that's all windows behind you in the back. And it was something. I
keep saying something. I don't know if that's a good something.
It was like good something. It was so...
Oh, okay.
I know that dish that you were just looking at looked a little weird, but it was incredible.
What was it?
It was a roasted beet and feta appetizer.
That sounds good.
I thought it was art.
No. Look at the prime rib. I mean, and so I just included a couple of pictures just to show you the quality of what was coming out of the main dining room. This was quality food. So the menu on the one side had the traditional. Ben the first night had ordered just the regular sirloin. And then on the other side, they had whatever was special for that night.
Did that change each night?
It did. And I actually was speaking to one of the hosts, and there was 21 different menus they have.
Wow.
Because they have some longer sailings, so they really want to have a variety of menus. This is the Tuscan Grill we're looking at. This is one of their specialty restaurants. We had ended up doing it for lunch. Once we got on board, we actually couldn't get a dinner reservation.
I don't know what that is, but I want one.
That was a crab cake, and it was really good. This was Benjamin's calamari. Over to the left, you can see it was a bowl of olive oil with the bread, but they came and they cut basil fresh.
Oh, wow.
To include in this.
This looks good.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was my pasta. Oh, my God. It was so, like, the food was just incredible. And that was lunch. Those pictures you just saw were lunch. Sushi on 5. Ben's a big sushi fan. I'm not. This is an a la carte restaurant, which was great because I could just sit there and drink a Diet Coke while he ate all the sushi he wanted.
Is this one of those things where it is the cover charge plus?
No, there was no cover charge.
Oh, good.
You only paid for what you ordered. So this was 2 of his 3 dishes.
Wow, that sushi is beautiful.
He said it was incredible. He said it was so, so good. This was his 3rd dish. You can see his empty plates in the background. I was holding those. And the waitress kept coming up, you sure you want nothing? No, nothing.
Were we Ben's first sushi experience?
You might have been. He's a connoisseur. Let me tell you. Him and his buddies from college go a lot. So this is the Ocean View Cafe. This is the buffet. Saying buffet seems to be not even doing this thing justice. This is the pizza from that buffet. They had a pizza area. Look at that pizza. It was so good. They had a number of made-to-order stations. There was one of the dessert displays. In the morning, they had made-to-order omelets. But they also had a poached egg section. In the poached egg section, you could get fresh to order eggs Benedict. This is ice. They had an ice cream in the buffet area where they were actually scooping hard served. I took a picture of the can of Diet Coke because with the drink package on this ship, it's cans. It's not fountain.
Wow.
That was unique. This was part of what you would get from the free drink station. Mm-hmm. So apple juice, iced tea, some lemonade, and different machines might have different options. Some would have just water. This one has a version of Pog. I mean, in Hawaii, they have Pog. That was my Eggs Benedict. This is a buffet breakfast. Eggs Benedict, a corned beef hash on the side. And this was all a made to order. This was Ben's breakfast.
Meat. Give me meat.
Exactly. He had like 4 different kinds of eggs. I said, you're going to regret eating all those eggs. But yeah, 4 different kinds of eggs. This was one night at dinner. They had an area called Gourmet Selections. And you could go back there and you could choose your cut of meat. And there was a guy cooking it.
This is the dining room?
No, this is the buffet.
Wow.
That's the buffet. Yeah. This is the pool grill area outside where they were doing hot dogs and stuff like that. This is Cuisine. Cuisine is one of the other specialty restaurant. We did dinner here. This restaurant, I can tell you, I wasn't too optimistic going in. It was tapas. It was a unique menu. As you guys both know, I'm a very generic eater. The menu came on an iPad just like that. When you sit at a table and the glass is sitting on a slant like that, you know you're in for a treat. Some of the cocktails you could order right from the iPad. And so what you would do is you would go through and you would order these tapas, but they were tapas on crack. Like this here was in that popcorn bucket is popcorn fish and chips. This was from China. We ordered, and each of those is a little Asian dish around the side with some sticky rice in the middle and all the sauces you need. We had ordered sliders. This was the display they came in.
So this is another a la carte?
This is specialty, and what you do is you pay a cover charge.
Oh, so all you can eat for one price.
Yeah, Ben was showing off that he could eat rice with chopsticks, and I was having trouble with the tiny little spoon they gave me. This was our desserts. I mean, you pay one price. What is that? That was some kind of a cheesecake he got, and it had that little cookie.
Like a funnel. It's in a
This was my
martini glass.
Gelato, and it came in this torpedo, and it had that big long spoon that looks like the dentist tool that you could eat the gelato
you're going to
out
the
of it.
wrong one.
It was incredible. After the video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Cuisine because I don't think I'm doing it justice. Spa Cafe was also a free area. There were some upgraded options you could get, but this is where you could go, and it was quick service beside the pool grill, but it was all like healthy stuff, fresh salads, fresh sandwiches, and things like that.
When can we go?
The food is really enticing.
I do want a torpedo full of gelato.
This is one of the lounges. There was, as I said, the lounges and the bar areas. I think I mentioned this on the last show. They were just always full, and people were just having fun. They weren't there. I didn't see any obnoxious drunks falling over. It wasn't that kind of fun. It was just everything. This was an area in the buffet where you could use your card to get your drinks, like your soda and stuff.
Your drink package.
Yeah. And the martini bar, I don't know if I got a picture of it, but there was a wine bar, the Rendezvous Lounge. This was a lounge outside of the dining room area, and every night there was a live band playing there before dinner. And every night we'd walk through on our way to dinner, and there was an older couple dancing, had to be in their 80s, and they had choreography. They had taken lessons, and you could see the gentlemen counting as they were going. It was Ben and I would sit and watch them every evening for 10 or 15 minutes. It was lovely to watch. And again, one of my weird stories. Cellar Masters, they had a whole, the whole wine thing happening. Again, I say wine thing because I'm not a wine drinker, but those who were partaking seemed to really think it was the cat's meow.
Here we are.
Yeah, exactly. So the gelato was paid. I think it was $4 a scoop, but man, oh man, was it good. And look how it looks.
Italy good?
Close. It was close.
That's not uncommon. On
It's
Royal
not,
Caribbean, you
yeah.
pay for it too.
And then they had the whole cafe bar, the whole coffee bar. And the great thing about this coffee bar was they had the case. You know what Disney does it sometimes where you get those little free desserts where you can have?
Yep.
Well, here they would serve you, but it wasn't a little tiny dessert. It was a full piece, and it rotated. Like one day the special was red velvet cake, and the piece of the cake was the size of Ben's head. Had to be. So really good free selections out of that when you were getting your coffee. This is the Constellation Lounge, top of the ship. Either all the way front or all the way back, I don't know, but it had really nice views.
You had trouble with that.
But I do.
This looks like the Viking Lounge comparable.
Similar idea, exactly. A lot of activities happened up in here at night. I just said something weird up in here, like it was all cool and happening. It wasn't that cool. It was, they would do their.
You weren't as cool as you thought you were.
They were doing their dance parties at night, and different activities would happen in that lounge, and it was a really nice spot to be.
I don't want to jump ahead, but do they do that typical thing where it's the match your mate?
Yeah, they had
shows and
the
stuff? I hate
traditional.
those.
Yeah, they had the traditional game show stuff. I found there was a lot more planned activities on this cruise for later in the evening, 10, 11 o'clock. Like we looked at pictures of the bars and lounges. There were several tastings throughout this cruise, and it was only a 4-night, wine tastings and brandy tastings and different things. And some of them weren't until 10 o'clock at night. Whereas often we've seen them on a Disney ship where it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something. So there were a lot of planned activities later in the evening on this ship. But going back to the dining, I feel like I have to talk more about it.
I can tell you what you showed looked really good.
I have to tell you, I've lost count, but I said my first cruise was when I was 16. I know I've been on more than 30 cruises, different cruise lines across the board.
Well, I mean, you're platinum with Disney.
Yes, I'm
platinum. Yeah,
I'm not highest level. I've reached level with Royal Caribbean.
Diamond or something, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've sailed a lot of different ships, a lot of cruise lines. This 4 days was my best experience with food on any cruise ship I've ever been on.
Holy moly.
And I can say that without doubt. There wasn't a miss. And so
that's a big compliment.
That is a huge
and when I
compliment.
sailed Disney, you like this or you like that, or that's not great, or this wasn't great. There wasn't a miss. This buffet, if it wasn't for the fact that I had to go forage for my own food, which is the part I don't like about buffet, then everybody touches the spoons. We won't get into all that, but I have a whole personal issue with buffet. But that aside, I would have eaten every meal there because there was enough variety. Like at lunchtime in that gourmet section where they had the picture of all the meat that you could choose, they were doing gourmet sandwiches. So they had sandwich fixings. But there's a gentleman there making your sandwich. So you could choose, they had like a big basket of different kinds of breads or croissants or whatever you wanted your sandwich on. All the toppings for sandwiches, meats, cheeses, like egg salads, chicken salads. And he would make your sandwich. He had a panini press. He would grill your sandwich if you want it. And this was all, and this was every day 12 to 3:30. Wow. The pizza, they were making different kinds of pizza all through the day. And this was good quality pizza.
And our preference. I've mentioned this more than once. Kevin and I love the buffets, especially on Royal. When we are about to go on the Harmony, on a pre-inaugural sailing of the Harmony we've been invited on, I want you to come up to the buffet one night. I know you don't have to eat there, but just look at their selection. This is the way cruise ships are going.
Right.
They're going to putting more effort into that buffet because I think they know that that's the flexibility people
And I can
want.
tell you, every cruise, we do a buffet dinner at least once, if not more. Nothing I've ever done has touched this.
I'm going home and look for sailings,
That steak selection was incredible. That's like
there was chicken and turkey and steak all there for the choosing. You chose your cut and you told him how you wanted it prepared, and he was preparing it. There was, in the morning, they had a station that was always English breakfast, where they had the black pudding and all the traditional English things that Oliver would appreciate.
Oliver ran away from.
So did they actually genuinely have black pudding?
They did.
Because since moving to the States, I've not seen black pudding.
It looked like a black hockey puck.
That's correct.
And so I believe it was.
And for everyone that's listening or watching, black pudding is a breakfast sausage made up of pig's blood, if you're wondering. So, it's very traditional.
Is that why you
in
moved away
England.
from England?
It's one of many reasons.
Yes. But so they had an American breakfast station. They had the fresh omelet station. I had mentioned the poached egg station where I could get my eggs Benedict every morning, made to order. I mean, this was so far
a poached
beyond.
egg station is unusual.
That
on
is
a buffet,
An omelet station's
and
not.
it was titled post egg station. Like, I mean, this wasn't my nickname for it. They were going with it.
Oh, you're using the actual nomenclature.
Yeah, I am.
Good to know.
She can read the signs.
They had, in a lot of cases, instead of the big silver trays full of food, they had small pots, like Dutch oven pots, like of multiple different colors. And that's what the food was in. So it was being switched out more often. It was staying fresher. Just tiny little touches. That ice cream station that we had seen, hard scoop ice cream with all the toppings, or they had cookies to make you an ice cream sandwich. That was all complimentary. The only place that you were paying for desserts was up at the gelato station. You were paying there.
What about the coffee station?
Coffee station you were paying as well, but there are some drink packages, or you could have had some specialty coffees included. But
That's
the desserts,
not unusual
no,
on
it's
any
not
of the
very
ships.
common.
I mean,
even Disney does it.
Disney has the Cove Cafe.
Yep. And all the dessert selections were there for the choosing, and they always had 2 or 3 different kinds of cakes, 2 or 3 pies, tarts, and I'm talking full size pieces. I'm not talking little sample bites.
I like the fresh salad bar you showed.
Yes.
What's happened on cruise ships is they're doing this more and more. Even Disney's done it now. Because I think what happens is you get to day 3 and you're like, I can't do any more rich food.
That you're looking for something simple and cold and fresh.
Yep. And they had
Things get a little rich.
Throughout the buffet area, they had the complimentary beverage stations as well. I think if I did it again, I don't think I would have gotten the soda package. I'm unusual in that I prefer fountain soda. And so with it all being cans, I found by 2 a day, it was probably it. And at $3.50.
I'm just the opposite.
And I would say 90% of the world would agree with you.
I would prefer my own can.
Yeah, and you know what was great about the fact that it was a can? Was the fact that the server coming around, I had asked him for a Diet Coke. He would take my card, and he would bring that to me just as if I was paying for that drink. On other cruise lines where you're buying soda package, Royal Caribbean in particular, when you try to get a soda from a bar, it is like you're trying to steal something.
That is true.
They're not interested in helping you because all they're doing is pumping out of the fountain. They're not taking your card. But in this case, the way Celebrity is doing, and my guess is the reason they're taking the card, they're running it through, is because now that person that helped you is getting a part of these gratuities.
I also
because
think
you pay gratuity on a drink package.
I also imagine because it's a can, there's an inventory issue.
There's an inventory as well. And so now they're getting, because you pay a gratuity on a drink package when you get it 18%. Right. And so now I'm guessing
that's
this is
done
all
right
part
at the
of it.
beginning.
Yes, this is when you buy the drink package, it's included.
And the bartenders don't have a reason, they don't have an incentive to help you because their tip is already there.
Exactly. And so I found that the service, there was nobody like, can I have a Diet Coke? Sure you can. And talking about the food and the dining in the main dining room, we ate in the main dining room twice. We ate in cuisine one night for dinner. And we did buffet one night for dinner. Well, I did buffet, Ben did sushi. So we went to sushi first, then we went to the buffet. We did lunch in Tuscan Grill, so we could try that restaurant as well. So we tried all the specialty restaurants on board. There is a couple restaurants. Lumini is only for suite guests. So we weren't able to try that.
Lumini?
Lumini, maybe. Lumini.
I don't know. I was just making sure I heard you.
Exactly. And Blue is the spa for the Aqua Class. The spa restaurant is exclusive to guests staying in that category. So we didn't eat in those 2 restaurants, but we did try to make our way around the ship.
Now, for the specialty restaurants, did you have to have a reservation?
I found that you kind of did, because when we got on board, we didn't have, and we were on board early, and we went straight to Tuscan, where they were making specialty reservations, and there were no dinner times available unless we wanted to eat at 9:30. So I didn't book ahead because I had wanted to use that onboard credit, because I wanted to make sure John didn't want it back. So I didn't.
Kind of did.
I didn't book it ahead. I was going to wait until I was on board, but it was too late. And with Celebrity, Royal Caribbean does this as well. When you make your specialty dining ahead, you're paying for it at the time you're booking it. Mm-hmm. So you can't use your onboard credit for that. So I had booked ahead our times for one of the nights in the main dining room. We were on select dining where we could choose our time. So I had booked us ahead for that. And once I was on board, I was able to book cuisine for dinner. So when I went to the specialty dining area, I had asked about packages. I'd heard that they offer dining packages on sailings, but they weren't available ahead of time. And I think I figured it out. It's based on what they've got available and what space they're trying to fill. So they had a special where we could book cuisine for dinner and Tuscan for lunch for $60 a person. Normally the restaurants are $45 each. So this gave us the opportunity to try both.
That's a little high.
It's a little higher than most
restaurants. It is but high. It seemed like it was worth it.
It was well worth it. I felt like I would have paid $45 for that. Now, $45 for lunch, I'd be hard pressed maybe to spend that. But it ended up that the way they divided it, cuisine was $40 and our lunch was $20. It was certainly a $20 lunch.
One more thing. Let me say one more thing about the whole availability. They also hold space back for suite guests.
They do.
So we get on as suite guests. We know we're almost always get dinner. So I'm sorry,
I would also like to say that on longer sailings, usually the first night is very, very crowded because everybody feels they have to make that reservation or they're never going to be able to eat for the entire cruise. Right. And we find the next day, all those restaurants that didn't have availability are now available.
And what happens is as well on a 4-night cruise, and I think on Celebrity, I believe this clientele is more likely to book specialty dining. And I also believe this clientele may still be warming up to the idea of cuisine, because I think it's a little bit of a unique experience. I know it's a type of restaurant, if my parents went in there, they would probably leave. And we did see a couple couples leave after arriving.
Now, to me, everything you talked about
sounded wonderful.
That was the one I wanted to go to.
I was anxious about it. As I said, I'm a picky eater. I don't like a lot of really fancy foo-foo stuff. So I was concerned about it. But when we got in there, we got the iPad. And I figured I always got that buffet to go back to.
Right.
So there was no risk. There was no risk.
Right. It wasn't like eat now or never eat again.
Right. And which often happens in Disney in the main dining rooms. If you don't eat, then that's
There's
it.
nothing, right?
It's chicken fingers up on the top
That's
deck.
right. And Ben is a very adventurous eater, so I thought this was a great opportunity for him.
Ben's actually fun to go to dinner with because he'll try anything.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that about him.
We were in a restaurant one night and he said to the man, I'm going to have steak tartare. And we all looked at him and said, do you even know what that is? He goes, no, but I might like it.
Yep.
I thought, wow, that's awesome.
Exactly the way he approaches things. I thought it would be fascinating for him. So it's hard to describe. It's tapas, but like I said, kind of tapas on crack. It's like some weird, and then you go and the maitre d' sits you down and he's talking to you if you've ever been here and he's trying to explain it. But everything, as you saw from those pictures, everything came with a display. And so based on how many you were, and they asked you, are you comfortable sharing? And so we had agreed that we would share, and there was one dish that Ben had ordered only for him, and that was a sushi type dish. And so that came just for him. But she suggested that we start with 4 or 5 different choices, and then partway through, she kind of would organize them the best way to deliver them, and partway through she checked, are you still good? You want to keep going? Or after the 4 or 5, we could have had more.
Now, this is just the pay one price. It's not a la carte.
It's $45. And then you can order as many as you want. And there was, I want to say 8 and the idea is you're kind of eating your way around the world. So you saw we had
You going right now to look for a celebrity cruise, are you?
We had China. We'd had the Chinese, little mini Chinese buffet there at our table. And there was enough there for 2 people to share.
Are the restaurants similar on, do you know?
They are. Cuisine is on other ships as well.
That's what are the restaurants similar across the fleet?
Cuisine and Tuscan are kind of there too, and they'll be on other ships. I don't know exactly which.
Kind of like Giovanni's Table and Chops.
Exactly.
I assume the sushi place probably is as well.
Yeah, so we started, and there's no such thing as appetizers main. It's just like throw everything you know about eating out the window and just come on this journey with us. And so you start with the iPad, and you flip through the iPad, and they have China, and then you click there, and it's, what are they offering from there? And you just choose. And so we loved it. Like we had the China, we had those sliders that came on the little barbecue plate with all the fixins, the popcorn, fish and chips. The fish and chips was to die for. It was cod, but it came in a popcorn bucket. So it was just. It ended up being.
Did that menu change night to night? Can you tell what's interested in?
I know. I was going to say.
I'm very hungry.
An awful lot of time on this.
I am. I'm sorry.
My understanding is this is their menu. And because it's so varied that you could order, like I don't think you could order everything in one sitting.
I won't ask any more questions.
But I have to tell you, this was one of the most unique, and Ben and I both agreed, most unique, fascinating, entertaining dining experiences we'd ever had.
Wow.
Throughout the meal, we're sending Chris pictures. My husband, we're texting him. We're like, you're not going to believe this. Look at this. It was just so, I think we were there for over 2.5 hours. And it didn't feel like it for a moment, because you couldn't wait until the next thing came to see how they were going to present it to you and how they were going to display it. And you were watching what other people were ordering to see how theirs came presented and displayed. It was fascinating. Absolutely
awesome.
fascinating. So I say, if this doesn't sound like it's normally your thing, like it didn't sound like mine, give it a shot, because this, I would rename it Cuisine Tapas on Crack if I had to do a tagline. So really fascinating. I mean, I can't say enough about this food. The main dining room, you had the everyday selections. You had a specialty page for whatever that day's specials were. And then there were upcharge options. So you could have ordered an upgraded steak or lobster or different things.
And that's typical
And
of
that is
any
very
cruise
typical
line you
with
go
these
on.
cruise lines as well.
Disney does the same thing.
Yeah.
Upcharge options.
So this was this across the board, service, food, this for no other reason but dining. It was I cannot wait till my next celebrity cruise.
Sounds awesome. Doesn't sound like you had time. Did you try room service?
No, we didn't. We were going to the one night and we ended up not doing it, but we did have a look at the menu. It looked very, very typical offerings.
Burgers,
yeah,
chicken fingers.
Very typical stuff, but a little bit of some nicer options as well that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And again, some upcharge options from the room service menu. That was kind of a theme throughout. I mentioned dining or drinking packages more than once. Let me just quickly tell you what your options are here. That soda package I had, it was $9 per night, and that's per person. It was canned soda.
That's kind of
I think it's
standard.
definitely standard. I think some others might be around $7, but you're talking fountain versus can. You've also got your 18% service charge on top of that.
Royal Caribbean does the freestyle machines.
That's right.
Did Celebrity have that?
On this ship, they did not, and I believe
They only do that right now, I believe, on the Harm or the Oasis and the Allure. Those are not
think-
on other ships.
they're starting to pop up on some. I don't remember. Do you remember when we were on the Freedom? If they had it, I don't recall.
Who was on the Freedom?
It was on the Freedom, wasn't it?
All right.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
get.
know.
This
Yeah.
is what ships. They just all
Right,
start to
they
blend
meld
together.
together.
But yeah, so
No freestyle machine.
no freestyle machine. So everything was cans from a bar or a restaurant or a lounge. But there were plenty of, even around the buffet area, there were plenty of people walking around each section to take your drink orders. It was never like, how am I going to get a Diet Coke? There was always somebody there to get me a Diet
I
Coke.
think the other thing that's amazing is that's a real recycling issue for them then.
Yeah, for sure.
All those
It's a
cans and
commitment.
bottles.
Absolutely. And then they also have a couple other options for non-alcohol. So they have a classic non-alcohol package, which is $18 a night. It's those canned sodas, but it also includes bottled water, juices, premium coffees and teas. So I think, a couple coffees a day, a couple Diet Cokes, you could hit that $18 fairly easy.
Absolutely.
Again,
right.
all of these packages will have that 18% gratuity charge on top of them that I mentioned. They also have a premium non-alcohol package, a couple extra bucks, $22 a night. But now you're into your specialty waters as well. So your Aquafinas, your bubbly waters, your, all of the specialty,
Gotcha.
not your tap waters. No Nestle in that one. They also,
a
I think, have
bucket on
vitamin water in that package. that you
Bucket
could
on the
get.
side of the ship.
Yeah, exactly. Vitamin water, Red Bull, things like that were all in that package. And then your typical alcohol packages, they started around $45 a night, and they would go up based on the type of alcohol package that you were looking for. And outside of that, they had a package that was just premium water. They had wine packages. So really something to cater to a lot of different tastes. And I really got the feeling a lot of people were on here on some kind of a beverage package. And it just seemed to be the norm for this ship. And I think the service reflected that. So the service was, I was getting that free can of Diet Coke. The service was just as if I was ordering a $20 drink.
Wow. Question: does everyone in the stateroom have to have the same
No.
beverage package?
No.
Good.
No, Royal Caribbean got away from that as well because
Yeah.
that was a big thing. So no, not everybody has to be on the same package.
Cool.
So really exciting stuff happening. I mean, in the food and beverage area, I haven't experienced anything that has touched this cruise. And this was a 4-night at a Fort Lauderdale. I know I keep saying that, but your expectations are just different
I agree.
on a 4-night at a Fort
Right.
Lauderdale. And so I was talking to other people who were, sailed Celebrity a lot, asking, is this a typical cruise? Is it not? Just asking some general questions to get a feel for it. And they said it wasn't on the way that, on a longer cruise, you would get probably more, people would dress up a little bit more. the clientele would be a little bit different. They actually thought while the food was good, they've had better experiences on other ships in the line. So I was like, oh my God, like my head was just like mind blown, because I thought this was already better than I had ever experienced elsewhere. So I got to tell you, their tagline is modern luxury. And if they're putting it into these little touches I talked about, and quality of food and service and dining experience, they've got something special.
So too late to change the podcast cruise to Celebrity?
Yes, please.
Well,
yes. Yes, it is. I'm not sure exactly when these shows are airing. I may not even still be with us by that point, because if it airs after podcast cruise, this one might kill me. So let's move on now away from food, as much as I could talk about it all day long. Talk about some of the activities that were available. I've mentioned it briefly on the previous show and on this one. A lot of your standard cruise activities, really. I mean, a lot of this is happening at this time. There were different tastings that were happening around.
Bingo.
There was one bingo session during this whole thing. And again, I think just the type of itinerary it was, there was only one bingo session, but it was there, a lot of late night, parties and themed parties, and they had the typical cruise game shows and all of that was happening. Okay. They had that rooftop terrace area. Like I said, we spent an afternoon up there watching a movie. They had regular seating. It was almost like a sofa area, but then they had almost like cabanas where it was covered, because it's right on the top of the roof. And I said to Ben, there's no way you and I, two very pale redheads, could be on the top of the ship watching a movie without one of us ending up in the infirmary, right? Somebody's going to get hurt here.
Or somebody asking if you want a poached egg with your bacon.
Exactly. So Ben went up really early and got us a primo spot. It was like a double lounger, and it was covered in like a little pergola almost. And it was a nice cushioned area with some cushions, and there was towels up there if you wanted to use one of those. And we just laid there and we watched the movie on the big screen. They played sports. Football was happening. It was Sunday, the day the ship was leaving. Monday Night Football was happening. World Series games were happening. So they were playing sports up there as well. And then I also read, and they didn't do it on this ship, but they do something called Dinner and a Movie up there, where they have an area set up in the front where they're preparing a meal based on the movie you're seeing.
Oh, wow.
And that was really fascinating. I really wish they had been doing that on our sailing, but they weren't. So that would be something to check out as well. And on some other ships, they have like a lawn club up there where they have it's almost like a lawn, like an outside eating area. And so there's a lot of unique things happening. So I thought that whole area was really cool. We touched on the eye lounge. That eye lounge was a destination in itself. They also did classes in there. During our cruise, they only had one, but it was $10, and it was learning about the new iOS 10 upgrade. So some of the features of it, and teaching people it was a lot of really just teaching people how to turn on their iPads. Really? And so I had thought about going with it, because this 10 upgrade is kicking my butt a little bit. So I thought about going to it, but then from sitting in there doing some work and listening to some of the questions, and the people were just like, no, I can't go. But I think, again, it would vary depending on their topics. Like, on one cruise, they were doing something about, pictures and how to store and edit your pictures and things like that. So there were learning classes going on as well in this eye lounge. So that was fascinating. And then, the spa, we had talked about the spa on an earlier show. One thing I liked about this cruise, and I think Celebrity does this across the board, is that you can actually book the discounted port price in advance. So if you're on a cruise, you're waiting to get your navigator, depending on your Celebrity today, to see what the special is in the spa tomorrow. Here on port days from 8 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, everything's automatically 25% off. So right in the menu, they have the port day price. So you could select and book them ahead. And it's very smart of them to get these times booked. Right. And you, as a guest, know exactly. So there weren't those. So I went up around day 2 or 3, and I said, are there any specials or anything? No. There didn't have to be, because they'd already put out their specials. So you weren't waiting for these flash sales kind of thing. Oh, so that was a neat feature. Entertainment, I got to say, it was lacking. We tried a couple of the shows. They had a comedian where they brought on board. We left partway through. And I would say I'm kind of a comedian's dream. I laugh a lot at a lot of different things, and I can tolerate a lot of different things. he told a couple racist jokes that made me leave. And the crowd loved it.
I was on a Royal Caribbean
So
ship.
that's the kind of ship it was.
And there was a comedian who I found, and it takes a lot.
Yeah, then that's me too. I really feel like it takes a lot for
you guys are both very tolerant.
Right,
of
and I get that
humor.
comedian is funny, and you're making and you're poking fun at yourself and other people, and I get that. But there were a couple jokes that even Ben looked at me and he went, "I didn't like that one."
Yeah.
And we let it go by, and then there was another. It's like, this guy's just not funny. We got up and left.
It takes a lot to offend me, and I found a comedian offend. We were with Matt, and Matt's from Australia. And Matt looks at me, he goes, "I can't sit here and listen to him do this. He just was."
Yeah, and we felt the way, and he wasn't that funny to start with. We were already giving him some room, we were
leeway.
giving him some pity laughs. And then it was just like, no, I'm done now.
What about shows? Did you go to any of the shows?
We did. We tried to go to. We peeked in on everything. We made sure that we at least saw.
Because you didn't have time because you were eating.
We were eating a lot.
Yeah,
we were eating a lot.
Welcome to the way we cruise.
Exactly. And so it was like, okay. And there was a casino time to get in.
Yeah, really.
Right? Priorities. And Ben was playing in the casino, which was funny. You guys would have loved it because you could be 18.
Right.
And not everywhere you can.
Yep.
So
Was Ben using his money?
A little bit of his money and some of John's.
Oh, good.
No, he was using his money, but he's like minimum credit guy, so like 30 cents a spin. But he ended up even winning a little bit on the last night. I said we kind of had a couple stressful days. I alluded to some work things happening, and he was going around and getting all these pictures for me. So I said, "Come on, Ben, I'm going to treat you to casino time." So I gave him $60. And he turned it into like, I don't know, 120 or 150 bucks. So I said, okay, give me my 60 back. You can keep the rest. And he loved it. So he had fun with that. But back to the shows. I tried to, they were typical,
Music across the decades.
Yeah. And really
That word was decades.
Just not the same quality as what. Now, from what I understand, on different ships, they're doing different things. But on this particular one, the entertainment was a definite miss. And I think that's not unusual. I've been on a lot of different cruise lines, and I got to tell you, even with Royal Caribbean, outside of these, every once in a while they get a good comedian on.
Or they do the Broadway show.
They do the Broadway stuff. But outside of that, any of their cabaret type stuff,
terrible.
Any of their, the staff music crew, whatever they call them, they're just not.
I agree.
They don't even touch Disney.
When we did the Anthem of the Seas pre-sailing, we saw the most highly touted show available, and
that was
found it lacking.
Bad,
right. So I think on different ships they're trying different things, but I got to tell you, these theaters were full. People were loving it. There is a whole society of people who love this cruise ship entertainment. My parents love it. They'll go to every show. I just don't. It's just not my thing. I don't enjoy it. And I think it might be because I've seen what really good productions look like. I've been lucky enough to go to Broadway. I've been lucky enough to see Disney, who I think is second to none in that area. And it's just
the
not how I
problem with Disney
choose
is
to
they
spend my
sell
time.
the same shows over and over again.
That's right.
Right. So
And once you've seen them several times,
Yes.
we get tired of them and we don't want to go see them over and
But
over
there's
again.
no denying they're the best out there.
Their quality is of the highest, and the people they have doing them
And
are
even their
talented.
regular, I don't know what it's called. What's the word I'm looking for, Oliver? You've got the crew, like,
yeah, Oliver, what word is she
what
looking
word am
for?
I looking for? If you were going to Broadway.
The staff shows.
Yeah, but,
The entertainment.
the cast, like at the Broadway. So you got your front runners, and then you've got
supporting cast.
supporting cast. I know there's a word. I'm missing it. Somebody out there's
Understudies.
Backup singers.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm really
let's
hungry.
skip
Move
it.
along.
Let's
So
skip it.
you're talking about the people who aren't the star of the show,
Right.
but are in the
like the
cast.
chorus, maybe the chorus.
All right, the chorus.
The chorus, like those kind of maybe.
Boy, that was sure worth it.
I don't know, but it's just like it's so wacky. But on Disney, even the background people are amazing.
Right, the talent's
And
very,
the talent,
very high.
and it's just not here. And I feel for them. I mean, it's not because they weren't trying, and people loved it. Like I said, there was lots of people totally enjoying it. It's just not my thing.
Understandable.
So
Us too.
if I could summarize the whole thing.
We would love that.
Let me summarize. I love to summarize.
She's out of cards. She's going to
I was going to
summarize.
say that last card
I
flipped
my
over.
last card.
And we must be done.
I got to tell you, I think as far as staterooms go, I think as far as the areas where the staterooms were, these areas were very dated. I think there was a lot of upgrading and renovating done around this ship in the public areas, but you notice it wasn't so much in the staterooms. Some of the technology is there, those extra touches are there, but the carpeting, a lot of very low ceilings. It reminded me very much of my earlier days cruising in those areas. Then you get into the public spaces, and you could tell that they'd brought them up to a more current. So there was still some areas lacking.
She said Broughton.
Broughton, I didn't say anything.
So what's interesting about that is that sounds to me like a European hotel. You go to a European hotel, and the common spaces are grand and beautiful, and you get in the rooms, and they're a little tight and little not.
There's a little bit of that happened. My
upgraded.
understanding is some of the suites were upgraded and redecorated on these ships, but I think maybe they haven't gotten all the way down to deck 2 yet on the renos. So there was some areas there. As I said, the food, the service, the staff on this ship, unbelievable. The public areas that we enjoyed, were fairly well done. It's a small ship. There's low ceilings in the different areas. That area when you first walk in, this is, an earlier built ship. What fascinating about it, and I kind of couldn't put my finger on what was different, like the Celebrity Today doesn't list what's happening in the kids area, the activities that were happening, the clientele around the ship, the public areas, the live music. It kind of, coming on the end, I kind of figured it out. It's the way cruising was, or is still, for cruise lines who aren't catering to families. And so when you're not worried about always appealing to multiple generations at the same time, this is what cruising's like. And I think there's a market for that.
And even
I think that's us. If we talk about where we are in the market.
I also think your stateroom aside, everything else on the ship seemed a little bit high priced.
Yes.
So it seemed to me it also is catering to someone who might have a little more money.
Right.
So a little bit higher dollar spender.
Yep.
That's why the food is of a better quality.
Who would demand a little bit more. And if you're going to make your tagline modern luxury, you got to deliver. And, I think they delivered. I really do. There were some misses, but I said, I'm not going to bury the lead. I loved it.
I think our next cruise, other than the podcast cruise, is going to be on a celebrity ship.
Yeah, I think.
Because Celebrity and Royal Caribbean and Azamara Cruises are all the same company. Yeah. So if you're a Royal Caribbean, what's the word I'm looking for? If you've reached a
loyalty
certain
program.
With their loyalty program, and I think you have to be at least, what is it? I've got it here somewhere. There's a certain level you have to achieve with Royal Caribbean, and I had just made it platinum. I'm platinum.
Please.
I know.
Platinum was so long ago.
If you're platinum or higher,
so
they'll match it on Celebrity. So depending on what your loyalty program level is with Royal, now with you guys you'll be even higher. So I was select on Celebrity. So what that gave me was it gave me a little bit of a discount on that internet. Still not enough. There was no refund from the onboard credit, but a little bit of a discount. And it gave me some other perks on board, and it gave me priority.
She's not giving that
check-in.
money back.
Yeah.
I saw how much sushi Ben ordered.
Yeah, exactly. It was gone. It was gone. So I did get, and even though I had never sailed Celebrity, I was already select based on my status with Royal Caribbean. And it does work in the reverse as well. So really a nice perk.
And I can tell you, what you talked about is what Kevin and I enjoy about cruising. We like the food. We like
I think
the
that dinner and a
atmosphere.
movie thing sounds
Doesn't
like
that
so
sound
much
fascinating?
fun.
It does. It sounds
And
wonderful.
a dinner based on what you're watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
And going to that, the eye lounge thing, when I had read about some of the classes that they would offer, they weren't offering them on my cruise. But I would attend some of those, and I would pay $10 to do it. There was I just felt like everything, it was the way that we would cruise as a couple as well.
There's some days at sea when you think if there was, I don't want to say something adult, like that has a negative connotation, but if there was something like that.
Something that wasn't trivia. I find on a
Or
Disney
bingo.
ship, I'm trivia'd out. It's everything, all the entertainment's trivia, all the get-togethers are trivia. With this, and I understand on the longer cruises and with more sea days, they may have cooking demonstrations. They have, cooking classes. They have different things going on. It might be an art class happening.
It's been a very long time, but I used to know someone who gave lectures on much older cruise ships on Holland America. And that was one of the things he did on their sea days.
And these are the kinds of things that you would expect. If you were in Alaska, you would expect more of those kind of destination lectures.
Right.
One of the unique things they had one evening, I didn't make it to it, but I wanted to, was they had a show of pre-owned Rolexes. So they had them on display, and I was fascinated by them. And they had like the history and the dates and everything.
Were they for sale?
Yes, you could buy them. So they were doing them one night where they were doing a show of them. And I don't know, again, if that was unique to this particular sailing. But there was just unique things along this way. The shore excursions. They had a unique one in Nassau where you went with a chef and you did the market and you went to Atlantis and prepared a meal, and that was part of your shore excursion.
That sounds like something I would like.
Exactly.
And it's very river cruise too.
Yep.
That's something
they had. They also have a private journeys division of their shore excursions, where you can put together your own private excursion. And
what was that word?
Private journeys.
I thought you said private Janice.
You both looked at me funny, and I thought, "Oh God, did I swear again?"
I didn't know what that was.
Private
Janice.
Journeys.
Journeys.
That's cool. Okay, so you sort of build your own.
Build your own, whether it's just a few people or a bigger group, and they had some that you could choose from that were recommended, or you could create your own based on. So really a lot of unique things. And this seems to me, it's gotten me excited about cruising again. I'm always excited about a new ship. Like we mentioned, we're going on the Harmony. Can't wait to see it. Yeah. I love cruise ships. I love cruising. But this got me excited about cruising as a vacation again. So, I can't wait until my husband and I can go on, because this would be right up our alley. Good food choices, some grown-up things to do. We're not joiners. We're not going to be playing shuffleboard on the Lido deck. We're not going to be hanging out at the bar. Yeah. We're not going to hang out at the bar and making conversation with the people. That's just not us. But there's so much on here that was.
That's actually one of the things we don't like about Royal Caribbean is a lot of the activities are, sexiest legs contest by the pool. And you think, oh, come on, really?
Right. And this is one of the things. I have a lot of clients who travel Disney, and that's one of the reasons, even though they don't have children, is because of these kinds of things that happen on other cruise lines. Yeah. So what I'm hoping by doing this and doing more of the ships and learning more about celebrity, I'm going to fill a little bit of a hole for my clientele. Those who love Disney, who maybe have stayed with it a little too long. Feels kind of like my first husband. You kind of stay with it 2 years longer than you should have.
Okay, it's time to go.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing. Somebody who's looking for something else, but maybe Royal Caribbean isn't the answer either.
So it's the swingers cruise line is pretty much what you're talking about.
Dr. Phil, wrap this up.
I think this could be a nice. I think there's a market for that.
Excellent. All right, Tracey, thank you so much. For those of you who might be interested in booking a celebrity cruise, you can contact Tracey. You can email her, traceyh@dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, or you can email any of us on the show, and we'll make sure we get you to Tracey so you can get your quote. Again, thank you everybody at home for listening and watching. We truly appreciate it. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.